let's look at division and teaching children how to use division and to understand what it is that they're doing when they're dividing. So the good news is that the children don't need to learn any new basic facts because division just uses the multiplication facts. The only new thing they have to learn is that sometimes it's a bit untidy and there's a bit left over. So as you saw on the slide in the presentation, that when you share 25 cards amongst 4 players, they each get 6 cards, but there's 1 card left. And that's division. Sometimes there's a leftover or a remainder. The important thing to remember when doing division is that it's all about sharing for primary school age children. We're sharing things out equally. That's what division means. So when we know all our basic facts, that takes us right through to 100. But sometimes we may need to teach the child how to do a computation for numbers less than 100. For example, if we had 85 things to share amongst 9 people, there's no need to show a computation because they know the fact 9 nines are 81 and there'll be a few left over. But if we're sharing that 85 between or among 3 people, then some children will need that support of doing the computation. And of course, we develop the knowledge, we develop the understanding and the language by doing it with materials first, and then we go to the pencil and paper and show them how to do it with that. So how do we teach 85 shared amongst 3 using the materials? Well, let's have a look. We'll set up a place value chart and use base 10 materials on that. So we've got our 85 set up, 8 10s and 5 1s, and we use the chart just to give the children some structure. So we start by sharing the 10s, which is different from addition and subtraction. We start with the 10s first. So we're going to share out 8 10s. Now we could do it this way. 1 10 for that person, 1 10 for that person, and 1 10 for that person, because we're sharing among 3. And then go again, 1 more 10 each, 1 more 10 each. But there's 2 10s left and there are 3 people, so that's not enough. We would need to rename these 10s as 1s. But we don't really want to do that because you wouldn't be teaching division if the child wasn't very confident with their multiplication facts. So we'd rather that they use that. So if we have 8 10s to share amongst 3 people, we want the children to know that that's 2 each and there'll be 2 left over because that's the basic fact. So 8 shared by 3, we have 2 for you, 2 for you, 2 for you, and there are 2 10s left, and we need to rename those as 1s. So we take 1 10 and put that on the side and rename that as 10 1s, and we take the other 10 and we rename that as 10 1s, and we now have 25 1s to share amongst 3 people. Using the basic facts again, 3 8s are 24 and 1 left over, so each person is going to get 8 1s. So let's share them out. 8 1s for that person, 8 1s for that person, 8 1s for that person, and there's 1 1 left over. So everybody gets 28 and there's 1 left over. So if you were doing this with a child, you'd show them the reason that we're doing it is that we're sharing things out now, something that makes sense to the child. So we might be sharing marbles, we might be sharing cakes or chocolates, anything that you think will appeal to the child you're working with. Make that story up first, then go through the process using the base 10 materials or paddle pop sticks, whatever's appropriate. And now that you've done that, we're ready to show them on the pencil and paper how we do that. And we use exactly the same language that we used when we were using the materials. That gives the child the consistency and that makes them confident to just use the symbol only. So what do we share first? We share the 10s. 3 people sharing 8 10s, that's 2 10s each and 2 10s remain. That's a mistake. 3 tens each, which means we've shared 6 tens and 2 tens remain. Now, we have to rename those tens as ones. So 2 tens becomes 20 ones, and we already have 5 ones, so we now have 25 ones to share. 3 people sharing 25 ones. What basic factor we use? 3 eights are 24. So each person is going to get 8 ones, which means we've shared out 24 ones, and there is 1 1 left over. So everybody gets 28 with 1 remaining.